Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Priyanka Kora.
And I'm Amanda Matos.
And we are two of your class marshals. We are so glad that you're all here. This is the start of a wonderful week full of celebrations. Somebody once recently compared HKS Commencement Week to an Indian wedding. And I think that's very accurate. This is a very special room full of people. Our graduating class represents 63 countries and numerous professional sectors and life experiences. Like our graduating class, we know that our guests have also traveled here from around the country and from around the world. We are honored to have you here with us, sharing this moment with us.
Today, we will celebrate each other. We'll celebrate our HKS experience. We've spent our time here not just to learn about regressions or multilateral negotiations. We came here to become better people, good people, people who care about our communities and about public service. We'll honor each other, we'll honor our faculty and our staff who contributed to us gaining the most from our time here. And we'll be graced by 4 distinct student speeches encouraging us to reflect on our past and our future. Each of our experiences here has been very unique, but there's a common thread each of us holds. We've made it here because of the love and care that at least one person in our lives has shown for us.
I want to share one of my personal favorite HKS moments, a moment that connects life before HKS to the amazing community that we have here and to the work that waits for me when I leave. Before coming to HKS, I used to be a middle school English teacher in New York City. I taught reading to 10 and 11-year-olds in Brooklyn. So when I came to policy school, I put aside my lesson plans and I replaced them with education policy case studies. And I put aside my unlimited supply of free hugs from small children and replaced them with a much more limited supply of free beer at Quorum Call. Just last month, I was here in this building on a Saturday morning. It was for one of the best events of the year, the annual student-run Black Policy Conference. This is an event where students from across Harvard get to learn from national experts and from each other about topics like racial diversity, racial justice, and building a more equitable world. I had just come out of a thought-provoking session, and I was wandering around in an academic fog in the Winter Garden just downstairs, probably looking for a sandwich. Out of the blue, a teenage boy with curly hair and a very friendly smile walked right up to me and said, "Hey, I know you." And I looked up at him, and it took me just a split second to realize that this was my former student, Caden. He had driven here 5 hours from New York City, and he was no longer the precocious and slightly mischievous student that I remembered from my classroom. Now he was a cool, confident young man who was here attending the same conference as I was. It was a converging of worlds in the best way possible. We were here at Harvard doing the same work and together trying to build a better world. In that moment, Caden taught me a lesson about the transformative potential of places like Harvard. He showed me how powerful it can be to shrink the space between academia and practice. In that moment, I remembered that the scholarship here is not just for us HKS students. It is for the communities we come from. It is for the people we serve. And it is for the lives that shape who we are and how we will act when we leave here. HKS is for Caden just as much as it is for me.
And that is why I have never believed that I am an imposter here or that any of us are imposters here. Whether you're a girl from the Bronx, spoiler, I'm not talking about AOC or Cardi B, I'm talking about me, or you're an activist from Palestine, a former teacher, a political insurgent from Venezuela, the first in your family to attend graduate school, or a former policy analyst or elected official, or a person who cares about creating more goodness in the world. There's such little time for us to feel like imposters when our community's lives are on the line. And while we can't single-handedly save the world with an HKS degree, we can leverage our time to do good. Harvard has learned so much from us, and we've contributed to making Harvard a better place for ourselves and our communities. You're welcome, Harvard. And at the end of the day, it's people in our lives who make sacrifices for us to be here. I can't help but think about my time here as a fantasy. Maybe it's a Disney movie with an actual strong female lead whose story converges with other hundreds of strong leads. HKS has meant chance encounters and selfies with heads of state. It's meant penguin proms. It's meant walking up and down and tripping down the grand social staircase in front of all your friends in the cafeteria. And it's meant going on adventures across the world to bring back knowledge home. It's meant life-challenging decisions, fundamental questions about who we are and what's our purpose in our lives. How can we love others and be compassionate while also loving and being compassionate towards ourselves? And living this fantasy has only been possible because of the people who've made sacrifices for us. That might be our parents, our fairy godmothers, or our former students. So whether you are a lead in Disney, Harry Potter, or Game of Thrones, now's the time not for a tame and boring ending, but it's a release of a new series, a series that includes us, our communities, and our missions to do good.
Once again, welcome to Class Day and welcome to Commencement Week. Please join us in inviting our next speakers, the President and Vice President of the Kennedy School of Student Government, Philip Johnston and Bi Huang.
Thank you so much. I wanted to start by saying that as a Brit who has an identical twin brother that went to Oxford, I can't tell you how much it means to me to finally be able to say that I'm graduating from Cambridge.
And as a Chinese, all I need to do to make my parents proud is to graduate from Harvard. Am I now your favorite kid, Mom? Well, you only have me, so. My mom doesn't speak much English. That's why I got to do this bit instead of Phil.
So for the parents in the room, you might not know this, but HKS has a bunch of leadership classes that are essentially group therapy, where we talk about our childhood and all this kind of thing. So if later today you meet an HKS student and you tell them that you're the parent of such and such, and they give you a very odd look, it's because they probably know way more about you than you want them to.
And then one other thing that I found out in that class is all of us come with certain pain from your childhood. So welcome to our annual HKS, Heartbroken Kids Symposium. Well, all jokes aside, we all know like none of us could have made it here without the support of our families and friends. My mom has given up so much for me. It has been the luckiest thing in my life to be a daughter. So to all our supporters, friends and families, those who are here, those that are not, a big thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
And there's one other group that I really want to say thank you to, and that is the Kennedy School Student Government. So if you were in student government either this academic year or last academic year as a class rep, a VP, or in the interim government, could I ask you to stand for a moment? Anybody? Yeah. Woo! Stay standing for a sec.
Stay standing for a sec. Stay standing for a sec. So unlike our current government, these people tweet a lot less and do a lot more to actually enhance our experience of their classmates and to bring out positive changes to our community. I remember the time that we spent in Wexner G102 debating every Tuesday night. Not only because they loved the sound of my screaming stopwatch to remind them to be concise, but also because they really care.
And I'm incredibly proud of everything that you've achieved here. And to be honest, this has truly been the biggest honor of my life to serve as the president of such an incredible group of people. So I really cannot thank you enough. So thank you again. The Harvard Kennedy School student government wasn't the only thing that changed during our time here. I don't know if you remember, but when we arrived, this place was a building site 2 years ago. At that time, it was somewhat similar to the current British government. It was disjointed, it was dysfunctional, it was disorganized. But now, thanks to a 3-year building project and $100 million, it is prettier.
Well, that's not entirely true. At least we have the Wexner Winter Garden. Though they don't really need to call it that because we are in Boston, so every garden is technically a winter garden. So we always knew that winter's coming. What we didn't know is winter's gonna stay. So all of us, we enter HKS as a group of house dark and whispering. Now we're gonna graduate and leave HKS as house Lannisters because Lannisters pay their debt. And also, Game of Thrones has given us a lot of epic lines this year, just as our namesake, JF Kennedy, who said great quotes like, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And we do things because they're hard, not because they're easy.
These lines, though, took weeks and months to write, and they were designed to sound elegant. But we know that reality is different. In fact, one of the best John F. Kennedy quotes is when he was asked about being a war hero, he responded, "It was completely involuntary. They sank my boat." That day in World War II, Kennedy saved his life and the lives of many of his crew. We are sometimes put in situations where we are compelled to take action without thought of if we're going to be a hero or not. My classmate John Sklarzik didn't want to be a hero when he created a program for many HKS students to volunteer in homeless shelters all around Cambridge. But to me and to many others, he is a hero in our community. And my classmates Jana Bene and Charles Skold didn't expect to have their names read out on graduation day when they campaigned tirelessly to urge the school to divest from the prison industrial complex. These people found themselves in an unjust world and selflessly took action to make change.
And as we look around today, our world is not in its most ideal situation. As we learned from the Great Power Competition class, almost every one of the great power is in deep trouble, and we face a lot of global challenges. At this time, they're sinking our boat, and all we can do is to seek our own strength from undesirable situations. After all, we're really good at this. That's how we went from heartbroken kids to Harvard Kennedy School graduates.
Class of 2019, congratulations and good luck.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Philip and Bea, for your service. Good afternoon, everyone. Congratulations, graduates and families. My name is Magda Matake, and I am a mid-career MPA graduation marshal. It is my honor, together with my fellow marshals, Pilar and Amanda, to introduce the first award of the day. The annual Sue Williamson Community Spirit Award is presented to staff members of Harvard Kennedy School who have significantly enhanced our student experience at HKS. This year, we are proud to give this award to 3 fabulous and dedicated staff members. The winner of the first award has been described by a student as, and I quote, "hands down, the most influential staff member of my Harvard experience. He has always been there to provide insight, advice, and support for my academic experience and career aspirations." Another student said that our winner goes above and beyond in his work in general, but especially in his efforts to be a champion, mentor, and overall supporter of the students. Yes, the first Sue Williamson Award goes to Raphael Carbonell, the Executive Director of the Taubman Center. Unfortunately, Raphael cannot be here today, but we are very, very grateful for his service and for his work.
The next Sue Williamson Award goes to a person who has created an ecosystem of events at Digital HKS, fostering a vibrant student group and community. She has supported students across HKS programs, advocating for our needs and serving as a guide and mentor for many of us. Using the words of someone who nominated her, she is an incredible force for good. This award goes to the Associate Director for Digital HKS, Vanessa Reinsmith.
Lastly, the facilities, custodial, and dining staff are a very important part of our HKS community too. These community members make great effort to keep this environment such that we can excel in it. This award goes to a member of the custodial staff who has gone out of her way to get to know members of the HKS community. We greatly appreciate her warmth and her smiles. This award goes to Arceli Diaz.
I'm Jack Donahue, as you probably know from the program. So all of these awards are, that we'll see today, are quite meaningful, especially to those of us who've been associated with the Kennedy School for a long time. But the Ellen Raphael Award is meaningful in a special way to me. Ellen was an MPP alum. She was distinguished for a remarkable career in educational leadership and policymaking. She was distinguished as well in a less happy way for an untimely death from cancer in her late 30s. Her family set up this recognition in her memory for a graduating MPP student who exemplifies her characteristics of intellectual excellence, academic accomplishment, a zest for public service, a commitment to the Kennedy School, and personal warmth, integrity, and loyalty. So Ellen was an MPP icon, also a PhD icon, by the way. She got her doctorate from the Kennedy School as well as her MPP. But in addition to that, she was my classmate and my friend. I knew Ellen quite well. I knew what she was good at. Anything connected to analysis, anything connected to friendship. I also knew what she was bad at. Carrying a tune, suppressing a wisecrack, suffering fools gladly. I knew how she took her coffee. So it's especially meaningful to me to help select a recipient and to confer this award each year. This year we had a wealth of terrific candidates nominated by their classmates, which is a crucial part of this award. And one of the happiest duties of the year for me is when several of us gather to consider these nominations and sort of luxuriate in how wonderful so many of the MPPs are and how much their classmates recognize that. It was a tough call because we had some good candidates, but we eventually concurred that one was clearly wonderful in just the right ways, mirroring Ellen's characteristics of academic excellence, commitment to public service and HKS, an unquestioned gift for friendship and loyalty. I will observe that the candidate we eventually settle on is, at least in my experience, soft-spoken and dignified, which Ellen was not. But we are nonetheless delighted to convey the Ellen Raphael Award to Aaron St. Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dara Cohen, and I'm an associate professor here at the Kennedy School. I'm one of several Kennedy School faculty members who teach the second year seminar to guide the students through the process of writing their policy analysis exercise, or PAE, as we call it. Today, it is my honor to present the award for the best PAE. This year, we had 13 excellent nominees out of a total pool of 149 unique projects across the MPP program. And from this pool, the committee had the very difficult task of selecting some award winners, and this year we selected 2 award winners. The first award will go to Daniel Nelson and Joshua Rushikoff. Daniel and Joshua, unfortunately, are not able to be here today, but I will just briefly say a few words about their accomplishment. Their PAE was titled Massachusetts Remaining Uninsured, Who They Are and How to Cover Them. And their client was the Massachusetts Health Insurance Connector Authority. Their advisor was Professor Mark Shepard. Professor Shepard wrote, "This is an excellent PAE tackling the important and policy-relevant topic of how to achieve true universal health insurance coverage. It does so in the relevant context of Massachusetts, based on close work and interviews with state agencies and health policy experts. It is well organized, logically flowing, and beautifully laid out." Nelson and Rushikoff find that ensuring the final 3% uninsured is going to be quite administratively challenging and will require cross-agency commitment at the state level as well as support from the federal Medicaid program. Finally, Professor Shepard noted that although he himself is a healthcare economist who specifically studies health insurance programs for the poor in the state of Massachusetts, he was blown away. He was amazed by how much he learned from this PAE. Congratulations to Daniel and to Joshua. Our second award winner for Best PAE this year is Benjamin McGuire. Ben's PAE was titled Scaling the Field Program in Modern Political Campaigns, Investigating Determinants of Capacity in Mobilizing and Organizing. His client was the Democratic National Committee Analytics Team, and his advisor was Professor Marshall Gans. Professor Gans wrote, Ben has taken on a timely, critical, and daunting task that addresses one of the key strategic debates in electoral politics. Given that direct voter contact relying on volunteers has once again become relevant to winning elections, what is the best way to do it? What Ben has done is to imagine a whole new way of getting answers to this question by making use of an unusual database that allows him to track the trajectory of individual engagement with a campaign, the nature of that engagement, and how that engagement pays off in terms of participation in the critical final days of a campaign. This is a truly groundbreaking piece of imaginative, original, rigorous, and highly salient research of value to practitioners and scholars addressing questions of how to make democracy work. Together, these PAEs represent the best of the Kennedy School, in-depth research and incisive analysis on the mission of improving human well-being. Congratulations to all of the nominees and to both of our award winners on their extraordinary projects.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matthias Risser. I'm the director of the Carr Center for Human Rights Policy, and it is my distinctive pleasure and honor to award the Carr Center Prize for Human Rights. So those of you following the activities of the Carr Center and also who follow the general events in the human rights world know that human rights have been were in for a major anniversary last year. Right? So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights turned 70 last year. We commemorated that quite a bit with events in the forum here also. Now, the human rights perspective is very much the perspective of the underdog. So if we have an anniversary, this is never really an occasion for celebration. It's an occasion for commemoration. It's an occasion for looking around. It's an occasion for taking stock to see where have we fallen short, where can we do more, where do we need to do more. And there's always a very long list because the underdog is the underdog because they're not normally getting terribly much priority. One of the most striking things last year in the human rights world also was when outgoing Human Rights High Commissioner Zeid Ra'ad gave what can only be considered a very stern talking to the Human Rights Council in Geneva, when he gave them a very long list of the human rights problems of the world and also pointed out to them that as a world, collectively speaking, we have so much understanding and so many resources to actually do something about them. And then he summed this up by saying, have we all gone mad to have the situation tolerated in this way? Have we, and notice this is a top diplomat speaking to top diplomats, so this is certainly rather less courteous than what they were used to be told to get this question, have we all gone mad? And in this long list of human rights problems that he was listing there, the refugee crisis around the Mediterranean played a large role. Right? There was one item on the list, and as you know, the refugee crisis with its many aspects also was a major topic just now in the elections to the European Parliament, so every country in the European Union is very much in turmoil about that. There is a lot of questions around the refugee crisis around the Mediterranean. There's a lot of projects one could start. There's a lot of questions one can investigate, and this year's Carr Center Award for Human Rights also goes to a team that has investigated questions in this context. So one thing that has been happening in recent times is that the European Union tried very hard to get rid of these problems by charging third countries outside of the EU to somehow take care of the processing of migrants and asylum seekers. So basically the idea is we don't want this problem in front of us. We want it have it out of sight and out of mind. So there's been more and more what's then being called implementation of externalization mechanisms. Right? So that's the legal jargon basically for delegating a lot of responsibilities to third countries. So they're being processed before they're even reaching the frontiers of the European Union. And one question then you can ask, so how are people actually faring in that process, especially how are children faring in that process? So children, the reason why there's special hospitals for children is because children are always losing out when they are in a general pool of patients, right? So they have their separate hospitals. The reason why there is a special convention, human rights convention specifically dedicated to children, is because children need to come up for special attention, because if they're just in the general pool of the population, they will inevitably lose out vis-a-vis adults. And so here also a special question arises, how are children actually faring as they are subject to these externalization mechanisms outside of the European Union? And the result of that is that they're not faring terribly well. And that's been the subject of the this wonderful PAE called EU Externalization Mechanisms and Their Conflicting Impacts on Child Protection. And the client for that was Save the Children Germany. So the point of this project was to investigate what is happening to children. The results largely negative, but we also get a long list of very constructive recommendations of how actually to improve the fate of children. So a wonderful project, really also emphasizing in very beautiful ways the emphasis of the human rights movement on the perspective of the underdog. So the winner, this is actually, so you know, on some of our banners here, you have the slogan, "Imagine what we can do together." This team here has taken that thought and brought it to PAE work. We rarely have teams of 4 working on a PAE project together, but this is a project it's not good for small centers like us who have a limited amount of money for awards, so they're kind of depleting the award money that we have since we're giving, but we give awards where they need to go. So without further ado, please come to the stage. So there's Yolanda Botti Lodovico, Bethany Ellis, Santiago Mueke, and Lin Wen.
Hello again. We're going to take a quick moment before we hop to our first class speaker. I wanted to physically and present this award to Araceli Diaz. You have been a very important part of our community. So thank you.
Hi again. It is now our honor to introduce the Master in Public Policy class speaker, Ling Thuy Nguyen. Ling embodies our class through her compassion, love, and joy for people. She is passionate about environmental sustainability. And trust me, this girl walks the walk. You can find her in the cafeteria with her reusable utensils, at Quorum Call with her reusable cup and drink of choice, or at Felipe's with her reusable bowl. And I'm pretty sure she also selected the reusable straw for her graduation gift, while I embarrassingly took the luggage tag. True to her values, Ling has dedicated her life before and during and after HKS to human rights.
Before HKS, Ling assisted victims of human trafficking at the UN Migration Agency in Vietnam. In her time here, she has helped the Migration Protection and Assistance Division at IOM's headquarters in Geneva to develop the Manual to Address Trafficking in Humanitarian Settings and multiple training and communications tools for use in counter-trafficking. After HKS, she's going back to Vietnam to do volunteer work at a shelter for differently abled young adults. Without further ado, please join us in welcoming to the stage our 2019 MPP class speaker, Ling Thuy Nguyen.
Thank you. Just for clarification, I didn't choose the reusable straws because I don't use straws at all. I first came to Harvard in the fall of 2008. It was my first time abroad. I had been working all summer as a housekeeper at a Quality Inn in Michigan as part of an exchange program and had saved just enough money to visit 3 cities in the US, and Boston was one of them. I still remember very clearly that morning when I walked around the beautiful tree-lined campus. It was a golden day in October, and as usual, there's a crowd of tourists taking pictures in front of the statue of John Harvard. I remember walking past students with their bright faces in their crimson hoodies. And I remember thinking to myself, this is a privilege that I will never have. As a 20-year-old girl growing up in poverty in Vietnam, even the idea of studying abroad was like a pipe dream, let alone studying at one of the most prestigious academic institutions in the world. And yet, more than 10 years after that day, I am standing here with my classmates, celebrating the graduation of us from the Harvard Kennedy School. I have now become one of the privileged few. As we prepare to bring the knowledge and skills we have gained over the past 2 years to pursue our chosen missions, I believe many of you, like me, have been reflecting on how much we have grown here. For me, this reflection has mostly been about how privileged I am. I may have worked hard, but I could not have come this far without being given the chance to. My supervisors at the organization I was working gave me the chance by writing me a letter of recommendation. My scholarship board gave me the chance by sponsoring my tuition. My family and friends at home gave me the chance by taking care of my mom when I'm away. I am privileged because others have given me the chance to be. Others have given us the chance to be. Sorry. An HKS moment. Thank you. An HKS moment that got me thinking about privileges was when a classmate shared the concern that our campus does not yet have a map to all of its gender-neutral bathrooms. The thoughtfulness of this concern stayed with me, as I would never have come up with it by myself. On the one hand, I had never seen a gender-neutral bathroom before I came here. As a child, I grew up without a bathroom at home. And in winter, when I took showers in our backyard, my mom would hang blankets on the coastlines to shield me from the cold. And yet, how quick it was for me to get used to living in a heated room, wearing shorts in Boston winter. On the other hand, as a cisgender woman, I have never had my gender identity questioned by society, and have never experienced the frustration of not having access to an inclusive facility which is unfortunately still very common among our gender nonconforming and transgender friends. We are all disadvantaged in some way and privileged in some other. And while our disadvantages are very salient to us, privilege, whether it is something you're born with, like gender, or something you've attained, like a better living standard, is so easily taken for granted, especially when you're surrounded by people who are just as privileged as you are. It is true that surrounded by my beautiful and talented classmates here, I have at times forgotten about all the 20-year-old girls like I used to be, who have yet to be given the chance I have. I take pride in knowing among our peers at HKS people who are dedicating their lives to ensure children in developing countries have shelter, and people who are fighting for LGBTQ rights here in the US. Yet, I need to be reminded that it is also a privilege to be able to do these things. It is true that what we have achieved today is the product of our hard work, and I have so much admiration for all of you, for your incredible accomplishments. I root for you when you spend hours upon hours finishing an assignment in the library, when you trudge through the snow back home at midnight after a study group, when you juggle 7 classes while running an organization and battling with depression. You are truly some of the most incredible, brilliant, hardworking, and kind-hearted people I have ever met in my life. But may we all remember that there are many equally brilliant, hardworking, and kind-hearted people who have not been given the chance simply because fate has not smiled at them the way it smiled at us. People like my mom, who is sitting over there and doesn't even understand what I'm saying right now because she never had a chance to go to college and doesn't speak English. With this in mind, I hope you go back to your community and think about all of the people who are not here today and ask what you can do for them, as I will also ask for mine. To all of you whom I'm proud to call my classmates, my friends, my brothers and sisters, it is an honor to celebrate you. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of this wonderful, unforgettable journey. May we all continue to reckon with our privileges, to bring humility and compassion to our community, and to give others the chance we have been given to realize the fullest of their potential. Thank you.
My name is Hannah Riley Bowles, and I'm here representing the Women in Public Policy program. We give 3 awards. I'm going to start with the Barbara Jordan Award for Women's Leadership. This award is given in recognition of Barbara Jordan, the first African-American woman elected to the Texas Senate in 1966 and later served very famously in the U.S. Congress. This award honors one graduating student at the Harvard Kennedy School for their commitment to building community and for serving as a role model for women aspiring to be leaders. For this award, I would like to congratulate Tara Goraya. I wasn't even. I was telling Tara the other day, I was bragging about her to alumni groups, but you know what, I probably did this in the wrong order, so you're gonna have to stand next to me while I read wonderful things about you. Okay, so one of her several nominators wrote that Tara is unstoppable. Truly a woman who is a leader with a remarkable record of community service, speaking up for those whose voices need to be elevated, and tirelessly working to make room for all. At HKS, Tara has had an active role as both a leader and convener of different initiatives, including intersectional organizing through WAP. She mentored several women in her free time. She's also participated in WAP's political training program from Harvard Square to the Oval Office. She ran for public office in her town and won. I've got one more quote. You can stand me holding your hand here. One more quote. She has been a force, both intellectually and practically, in making space for dialogue around diversity, inclusion, and equity. She has actively engaged in bringing together classmates, both in good times and difficult ones. I hope you will please join me in celebrating our this year's winner of the Barbara Jordan Award. So fabulous. And then I think I did it. The next award is for the Jane Mansbridge Research Award. So each year, the Women in Public Policy Programs honors a student, or at least one student, hint, hint, for the best research paper with an analysis of an organization or topic focused on gender and public policy. This award is named in honor of Jenny Mansbridge, the Adams Professor of Political Leadership and Democratic Values at the Harvard Kennedy School. Professor Mansbridge is a WAP founding faculty chair and has been instrumental in fostering, conducting, and promoting gender-focused research, as well as changing the face of power here at home at the Harvard Kennedy School through her portraiture project. This year, our selection committee was impressed by the breadth of important research taking place at HKS, and they had a very difficult time choosing their awardees. From the excellent selection pool, they've chosen two. And then I'm nervous now to read their names because I'll leave them standing up here holding my hand. So I'm gonna tell you about them, and then I'll tell you who they are. One is a SIPA on reducing gender bias, a handbook for organizations in India. It was an analysis of recruitment data for a global organization at its India center that evaluated strategies to reduce bias against women in its recruitment process. The second is a PAE, a policy analysis exercise on doing digital right, addressing the growing financial inclusion gender gap in Pakistan, and it focused on overcoming technology barriers that enable women to effectively participate in both society and the economy in emerging markets in Pakistan. So our two winners are Matangi Swaminathan for her PAE on reducing gender bias in India, and Neha Rashid for her work on doing digital right. Okay, our final award is the Holly Taylor Sargent Award for Women's Advancement. This award was established in 2005 by our former dean of the Harvard Kennedy School, Joe Nye, and his wife, Molly Nye, to honor a student's contributions to the advancement of women at the Kennedy School and in the world. The award is given in recognition of Holly Taylor Sargent, who was the former Senior Associate Dean for Advancement and the Senior Director for University Women's Initiatives. She was a leader and contributor to the advancement of women who has made a lasting impression on the Harvard Kennedy School over the past decades. I would like to congratulate, you're gonna come up here and you have to come on up here. I would like to congratulate Alexandra Schmidt. Will you stand with me while I read about you? Okay. So, Alexandra co-founded the student organization Women in Defense, Diplomacy, and Development, W3D, that provides meaningful opportunities for all students, particularly women, to engage in these foreign policy fields. Since W3D's inception, they have hosted 40 events for over 1,000 attendees. She was also the co-chair of the Women in Power Conference. This is the second annual conference that raised over $40,000 for this event, including sponsoring participants. They hosted over 300 attendees, including 25 sponsored local high school students, featuring 70 speakers and 15 panels and 4 workshops. One of Alexandra's nominators wrote, "She has dedicated her short time at HKS to the community of women. Because of her tireless efforts, women at HKS, present and future, will have more professional opportunities and spaces to discuss, debate, and support one another." So please join me in congratulating.
Congratulations to the class of 2019. This is very exciting. I'm really excited for all of you. And I actually know who many of you are, so it's great. My name is Robin Chapman. I'm the Associate Dean for Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging at the Kennedy School. And our actual office is brand new, so this is our first time ever giving an award, and we hope to continue to do so in the future. The Service Award for Excellence in Service talks about excellence in service to the entire community, building belonging, so that when we have students come to the Kennedy School, they enter an environment that is already eager, inquisitive, and has the complete assumption that you're going to bring amazing things and help us grow as a community. And I've already seen that happen this year. And so what we look at when we think about who we want to recognize, we ask ourselves a number of questions, but a couple of them include, has this group or person done something or is continuing to do something that will be of service to our students and also be available and accessible to other members of the community, of the Harvard Kennedy School community. We also want to ensure that what they're doing is not a one-off, meaning we did this thing and that's it, but it's something where they will either continue to contribute here at the school or continue to contribute in the work that they're going to be doing after. And so we have 2 awardees today. The first one is actually a group of folks. They are members of our Library and Knowledge Services team. Daniel Becker, Leslie Donnell, Christina Siros, Valerie Weiss, and Keely Wilkes. I say it wrong every time. I'm so sorry, Keely. And they are the team from the library that helped curate a diversity and inclusion and belonging collection at the library that exists right now. They didn't just So this collection actually is going to continue to grow. It is a physical as well as virtual collection. They created a portal so that HKS folks will have accessibility to materials we have here, as well as across Harvard pulling in materials. What they're planning to do moving forward is to curate a section of resources for faculty when they're building their syllabi, so they can bring in a broader diversity of references and hopefully get ideas for how to diversify and build new case studies where the protagonists represent a broader array of folks and backgrounds. So we're excited about that. The other thing that they are planning to do next, they're going to do it over the summer, is the very comfortable, I like to hide in this area, by the way, this area of the library, the very comfortable side room with the nice comfortable chairs and the periodicals. That's going to be converted to a room dedicated for the diversity, inclusion, belonging collection. And it's a room that's open anytime the building is open. So even when the library is closed, that area and those materials will be accessible and you can do self-checkout. So this, I just think is really important. It's a great model of how an area of our school can collaborate with our office, and we support them in taking ownership and agency and designing and doing something that's going to benefit the entire community, but in service of benefiting our students. So I don't know if any of them are here, but if Daniel, Leslie, Christina, Valerie, or Keely are here, we'd love to give you the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and Belonging Award for excellence in service to the HKS community. I don't know if they're working very hard for you right now, but this is their award. I'll make sure they get it. And our next and final award goes to a student, an MPP student, who, let me tell you a little bit about this person first. She, in her pre-HKS life, was very involved in immigrant rights, education, housing justice in particular, and healthcare. At that time and ongoing through her entire tenure here at HKS, she has been a strong advocate for intersectional and community building activities and also knowledge building. And so I actually meant to mention that her pronouns are they, them, and she, her. Okay. So while at HKS, she served as the co-chair of the LGBTQ caucus, helped put together the LGBTQ climate survey, highlighted issues in communities that needed more visibility at HKS, so we had a lot of visits to my office and got us going on some things we should have been thinking about. And it's a contributor to the Kennedy School Review. And I'm sure will, probably as a parting advice to me, remind me that the forum stage is not accessible and it needs to be set up in a way that people of different abilities can actually access the stage. But I know it's coming. I'm just heading her off at the pass. So we are honored to give the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Award for excellence in service to the entire community to Laura Murrayfield.
Good afternoon again. We are the two-year MPA commencement marshals. My name is Pilar Cuesta.
And I'm Amanda Coleman.
We are honored to introduce Juan Pablo Caicedo as our MPA Class Day speaker. Before coming to HKS, Juan Pablo worked as a consultant for social organizations and municipal governments and as a civil servant in President Juan Manuel Santos' administration. While at HKS, he continued to learn how to make cities better and how to close the gap between high-quality public services and constraining municipal contexts. He is a dual-degree student at Harvard and will receive his master in urban planning and public administration.
Juan Pablo's enthusiasm for life and commitment to public service are contagious. Like many MPAs, his personal and professional interests are multidisciplinary and across several sectors. And like for many of us, being at HKS has broadened his understanding of public service. Please welcome Juan Pablo.
Thank you. I still remember our very first day at HKS. It was a sunny day, because we have sunny days here sometime at the beginning of the summer. I walked from my apartment across the river with my roommate, Emilio, which some of you know, towards JFK Park, where we'll be graduating in a couple of days now, where we were supposed to start this adventure. And as we were walking, we started to talk about everything that was about to happen to us. We're gonna meet great friends. Of course, we're gonna have a lot of intellectual challenges. And why not? We'll have an option to really redefine what public service meant to us. After hanging out for a while with all of the incoming students, the MPAs were separated. We were taken to the 5th floor of Tubman. And of course, one of the first things we did was introduce ourselves to the group. I really remember how excited I felt at the time to listen to my colleagues for the first time, learning their stories, their motivations, how each one of them would impact their communities in the future. I've had myself very different roles in my life, as Pili was saying a second ago. I've been a liberal arts student, a corporate lawyer, a consultant, and before coming here, I was a public servant. And being in government was really, really emotional for me, because I felt in love with the idea of waking up every single day to serve others, regardless of how hard and unthankful it can be sometimes. But at the same time, as we were presenting to ourselves, I remember feeling a very weird and false sense of entitlement, because I was the one coming from old downtown offices, from drinking the tasteless coffees, from sitting in dusty cubicles, and from having everlasting meetings with people that hate you for doing your job. So yes, I knew exactly what public service looked like. Then everybody else started speaking in my class, and I can still recall how strange it felt that very first time and how skeptical I was listening to them. Not only half of my classmates were coming from fancy business schools across the country, they also come from central banks, the US military, worldwide NGOs, big shot consulting companies, financing corporations, you name it. So I went back to the list, and I could count people coming from the public sector as I did with the palm of my hand. And I really started to wonder myself, what I can learn of public service from people that come from all of these places, most of them having very little to do with government. But this was my cohort. This is us. And to be honest, it didn't take long enough for me to realize not only how wrong I was, but how little I knew about the real meaning of public service. Being here and sharing with all of you has brought a completely different dimension to my understanding of serving others. While being here, I learned that public service means community, and that community is not given or demanded, it's a choice. That working together with or without the administration, people can organize themselves to have the spaces they deserve. And it's not about a class or a seminar or even having a drink with your friends. It's about the process of organizing others, letting them know that you care, and ask them why they should care. This is both what our class marshals, Pili and Amanda, have been doing for us since they got here. That's why we picked them. And we all have done it in the same way, trying to follow up with that calling from them to keep our sense of cohort strong. I also learned here with all of you how public service means generosity. Our cohort is small. It's very small compared to other programs. You can say by the amount of screams that people have. But as my dear friend Sole, also graduating this week, says, service starts where you are. You don't have to go far. And this class has been exceptional in their service for our community. We've had school president, school vice president, one of the 2 chief editors of our newspaper, and wonderful teaching fellows for some of the most complex classes on campus. Also, more than half of us donated for future students to have the chance to sit here where we are in the following years. And that really means a lot to me. I learned here that public service can also mean entrepreneurship. It means that an American woman can help a small business in Ghana grow and reach their potential using technology. Or how important it is to find creative ways to motivate young women to become scientists or engineers. And that there are market alternatives to provide affordable and high-quality healthcare in Africa. Because, contrary to what I thought before coming here, public service is not a role, it's not a position, it's not even a calling. Public service is a moral commitment to ourselves, to each other, and to the work we do. Because public service is willing to listen more, to judge less, to care about others. And to my impression, none of these things we learned here. Most of you graduating this week were coded for that, and you've been doing it throughout your lives. And I'm really glad we have your families here to celebrate that fact. I came to HKS to strengthen my commitment to public service, and now I can say I have met my goal. Because now I get the chance to see it everywhere. Now I'll know that no matter the company, the city, or the neighborhood that each one of you guys will be, every single one of you will be committed to public service in your own way. And you will be transforming your community with your own presence. And that has very little to do with Harvard. It has more to do with the fact that you really care about the work you do, and that you will continue to care for years to come. Congratulations, graduating students, MPA class of 2019. Good luck. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Hi, I'm Jeff Liebman, and it is an honor to present 4 awards today. The Taubman Center Urban Prize, sponsored by the Taubman Center for State and Local Government, as well as the Manuel Carballo Memorial Prize, the Susan Eaton Memorial Prize, and the Frederick Fisher Memorial Prize, all sponsored by the Malcolm Weiner Center for Social Policy. This year, the PAEs, SYPAs, case studies, essays and research papers that were reviewed for the various awards were particularly strong. Committees comprised of faculty members, researchers, and practitioners reviewed the submissions. There were many excellent papers to choose from, which made the selection process quite difficult. I'm going to make a few remarks about each award as I make each of the 4 presentations. Manuel Carballo was both a graduate of the Kennedy School's mid-career program and then later returned as an HKS faculty member. He held various public service positions during his career, including Director of Transportation for New York City, Secretary of Human Services for Massachusetts, Assistant Transportation Commissioner for New Jersey, and Director of the Wisconsin Department of Health and Social Services. Carballo was a demanding and serious public servant, and then a demanding and serious faculty member who would have been very proud of the quality of the work and the commitment of the students we are recognizing today. The Carballo Award recognizes work related to the implementation, management, and evaluation of programs serving poor and disadvantaged populations in the United States. The 2019 Manuel Carballo Memorial Prize is awarded to co-authors Jeff Lambert and Megan White for their PAE, Barriers to Outcomes-Oriented Contracting and Workforce Development. Frederick Fisher was also an HKS alum of the MPP program and a committed public servant. This award honors Fred Fisher's memory and is presented for excellence in research on topics including criminal justice, inequality, economic and social mobility, poverty, education, immigration, social services, and other social policy issues. The winners of the 2019 Frederick Fisher Memorial Prize for their PAE, Breaking the Cycle, Meeting the Needs of Justice-Involved Youth in Massachusetts, are Robin Chin and Catherine Marks. We got to give better seats to the award winners next time. All right. The Taubman Center Urban Prize recognizes achievement in state and local urban policy topics, including economic development, workforce development, housing, transportation, land use, education, social capital, child welfare, human services, government performance, and labor management relations. This year, the Taubman Center Urban Prizes have two co-awardees. First, for her PAE on equitable development in Baton Rouge, Alyssa Davis. And then we have co-authors as well for the other award for their PAE, Advancing Equitable Economic Development in Greater Boston, Colin Earhart and Grace Palmer. Susan Eaton was a Harvard Kennedy School graduate and distinguished HKS and Malcolm Wiener Center faculty member from 1993 to 2003. She was also a former union organizer, a serious scholar of public policy and academic research related to human resources management, the healthcare workforce, healthcare management and quality issues, union leadership and labor, work-family policy, the aged population, women's issues, and gender equity. The Susan C. Eaton Memorial Prize honors her memory and recognizes excellence in articulating ideas, methods, and topics related to Ms. Eaton's work. The 2019 Susan C. Eaton Memorial Prize is awarded to a team of 6 co-authors for their work, The Road to 2092, Saving Social Security. Roy Liu, Abdul Hakim Buhari, Lucian Charland, Anthony Pascua, Jinghao Yan, and Jeremy Strickland.
Hello. My name is Danny Roderick. I'm the very happy faculty chair of the MPP-ID program. I'm here with Carol Finney. Whose title is Director of the MPP-ID program, but as you can see, she does a lot of other things too. For those of you who don't know, the MPP-ID actually stands for the Master of Public Administration in International Development. This is our 2-year program devoted to finding solutions to problems of poverty and underdevelopment around the world. For those of you non-MPP-ID graduating students who don't know what MPP-IDs are, because they've been hiding in their carrels and under their desks because of all the problem sets and assignments and papers they have to write, they finally crawled out. So here's your chance to meet them. So very happy to present the second year Policy Analysis Awards. The SIPA, as we call it, is the second year paper, a very important part of the MPP-ID program where we expect our students to essentially produce their first professional paper, not the last term paper of the academic program, but actually the first professional paper of their professional life. We ask a lot of them. We ask them to integrate what they learn in the core across the quantitative methods and the institutional analysis and the management and the governance courses that they do. We expect them to integrate all that academic learning with practical real-world programs and policy issues. And we expect them to come up with meaningful and practical policy solutions to the problems that they're addressing. And I know this year the committee of 3, the seminar leaders who had to decide the winners of the second year paper, second year Policy Analysis Award, really had a hard time. They were literally fighting to decide. That's really testament to the quality of these papers. I want to thank them, Carmen Heinhardt, Arvind Subramanian, and Michael Walton, who selected these 3 papers. The first one is titled An Economic Framework for Venezuela's Debt Restructuring by Thomas Moatti and Frank Mucci. Thomas and Frank. As I'm sure most of you are aware, Venezuela is in a country that's in deep crisis, having lost something like 50% of its income over the last 5 years. And Thomas and Frank took on the question of how do we handle the debt, the external debt that this country has accumulated. And they've outlined a comprehensive debt negotiating strategy that is not based just on economic analysis, but also political, legal, and administrative analysis that charts out a feasible path. They warn, I think quite rightly, that you can't deal with the country's debt situation simply by extending maturities, but you have to undertake deep restructuring, what in the trade is called haircuts, or what that really means just writing off the face value of the debt and the interest payments, and also to try to find alternative source of finance by going notably to the IMF as quickly as possible. The seminar leader, in this case Professor Reinhardt, wrote, their analysis of the country's precarious situation and their compelling recommendations on how to tackle the external debt problem offers the kind of consistent, high-caliber analysis that is essential but often lacking when the debtor country policymakers, private creditors, and multilateral institutions meet to renegotiate debt contracts. This document, as is, could be handed to the team undertaking the debt negotiations. Congratulations. The second winner of the SAIPA award is a paper with the title Minimizing Smuggling and Restoring Public Trust in the Philippine Bureau of Customs by Ken Abante. What Ken did in this paper was to rigorously measure the extent of revenue leakage, in other words, corruption, occurring in the customs division in the Philippines and the associated loss of trust among the citizenry in the government authorities. Beyond the technical analysis, Ken outlined a practical policy agenda. And as you can imagine, coming up with an implementable set of recommendations was all the more challenging given the weakness of the administrative status quo in the country. Ken's immediate proposal, perhaps counterintuitively, was to actually lower inspection rates while focusing capacity, scarce administrative and staff capacity on the transactions that were most high risk, that is the ones that were most likely to be under-invoiced. And he also recommended a much wider reform agenda to restore public trust in the customs authority. Arvind Subramanian, his seminar leader, wrote, "This was a really outstanding SAIPA from start to finish. Formulation, state-of-the-art technical analysis, presentation, recommendations, and awareness of administrative and political constraints. The SAIPA will be of immediate and enormous use for the Philippines government should it wish to act. It is one of those SAIPAs that could be handed over as is to a government for immediate action." The third outstanding paper is called Reshaping Beliefs to Promote Higher Female Labor Participation in Chile by Clara Gianola and Daniela Paz. Clara and Daniela ask, why is women's participation in the labor force so low in Chile, even though this country has made such great progress in a lot of domains? And they hypothesize that a large part of the problem rested actually with social norms and beliefs. The view, among men in particular, that women should not work. How to change the beliefs and norms is one of the toughest questions in economic development. Clara and Daniela were undeterred. They ran an extraordinary survey of Chilean women designed as an experiment with alternative treatments in terms of providing providing information, for example, by way of a variety of videos as well as information on earnings. And that showed that, in fact, changing some of these beliefs and ideas and social customs could be feasible. Michael Walton, their seminar advisor, wrote, "In my view, Clara and Daniela's work is a tour de force, demonstrating many things they've learned during the MPP-ID program, from game theory to econometrics, from the design of the intervention and survey questionnaires to the actual field implementation. They've demonstrated remarkable creativity and perseverance. Their work is a promising pilot study that can lead the way to future trials and greater policy discussions." Congratulations, Clara and Daniela. Next, I'm very honored and pleased to present the Raymond Vernon Award. This is the Raymond Vernon Award for Commitment to International Development, and this award is presented every year to a graduating MPP-ID student who best personifies the values of this program, namely dedication to the field of international development, citizenship, academic excellence, and potential future contribution and leadership. The award is named after the late Professor Raymond Vernon, who was a long-term faculty member here at Harvard. Before then, he was a dedicated public servant. He was deeply involved in the establishment of the Marshall Plan after the Second World War, was deeply involved in the creation of the international economic institutions after the end of the war. And I personally was very lucky to have co-taught with him when I was still young and green, and I learned a lot from him. We have two recipients of this award this year, and unlike the previous awards, this award is actually given to students who are nominated by their classmates. These classmates tell us who they have been most inspired by. So the first recipient of this year's Raymond Vernon Award is Patricio Goldstein. Patricio is from Argentina, has an outstanding academic record, and it's really impossible for anyone who comes into contact with him not to feel his strong presence and positive influence. Let me read from some of his nominators' comments. Patricio was a very important part of the MPP-ID experience in his role as academic coordinator in the first year, where he volunteered with other coordinators to make sure MPP-IDs have access to the resources they need to succeed. He took his commitment to the field of policy into the Latin American Policy Journal, where he worked hard for 2 years and motivated other MPP-IDs to pull together rich editions of this journal with contributions from recognized faculty members throughout Harvard and contributors from across Latin America. Another student said, his summer internship in Jordan and inspiring SIPA work on Venezuelan refugees in Peru reflect his deep commitment to the field of international development. It doesn't come as a surprise that after graduation he'll continue working on these issues at the Center for International Development. Congratulations, Patricia. And the second recipient of this year's Raymond Vernon Award is Ken Abante. Ken is an excellent student who has also had a tremendous impact on his fellow classmates. His ever-present smile and buoyant energy have lifted our spirits on many a rainy day. And Ken has gone really out of his way to teach and mentor other students. As a class advisor, he went above and beyond the usual responsibilities to support incoming students during their first year of the MPP-ID program, including cooking, some of his specialties. Also, he won the Bach Center Certificate of Distinction in Teaching for his excellence in teaching undergraduates at Harvard in their introductory economics course, Act 10. In his own classmates' words, I would like to nominate Ken because he represents a balance between hard work, academic excellence, and public service. He has been committed to public service well before coming to HKS in a way that truly makes a difference, not only for himself, but for other young people in his country. He has inspired us to go beyond our own interests at HKS. Many of us agree that Ken played a very special role in motivating the cohort, keeping it moving forward, and including all participants. He has shared with us a series of speeches that have made an impact on us, not only about international development, but most importantly, mobilizing people into making a difference. His leadership, both present and potential, has no comparison, and he has given so much back to the MPP-ID class. in terms of citizenship and contribution to development, the world definitely needs more Kens. Congratulations, Ken. Congratulations to all the graduating students and all their loved ones.
Good afternoon. I am Angelo Calo from the Philippines.
And I'm Shira Stites from the US, and we are the class marshals for the MPP-ID class of 2019.
The MPP-ID program is the Kennedy School's smallest but most international program, with 64 individuals hailing from 30+ countries. As Lan Pritchett says, we are a band of brothers and sisters from around the world, forged together by the collective ordeal of endless mathematical and quantitative problem sets, but also by a common passion for global growth, prosperity, and development.
It is our great pleasure to welcome to the podium the MPP-ID class speaker, Raphael Mahboub. Raphael received her bachelor's in economics from Wellesley College, and prior to coming to the Kennedy School, worked in public health at Results for Development, the Center for Global Development, and at Innovations for Policy Action on issues ranging from malnutrition to Ebola. Within the MPP-ID class, Raphael is known for her warmth and her efforts to bring all of us closer together.
Rifayat, or Rifi as we call her in our study group, is a dear friend. Her cheerfulness and honesty, as well as her cleverness and confidence, make her presence reassuring. She has touched many of us through her stories, laughter, insights, and friendship.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Class Day speaker for the MPP-ID class of 2019, Raphael Mahboub.
Thank you. Whew, what a surreal feeling this is. MPP-ID class of 2019, congratulations, we made it. We've gathered here today to celebrate a beautiful journey, a journey of immense joy that we felt as we handed in our 3 bounded SIPA copies, a journey of excruciating pain that we felt as we stared hopelessly at the proof of Lindahl's equilibrium, but most importantly, a journey of growth and camaraderie, a journey of difficult yet enlightening conversations, and a journey of acquiring massive debts as we prepare to work on poverty eradication. That was some very flawed consumption smoothing. But we were not the only ones undertaking this journey. 15 years ago, if you told me that I would walk through these hallowed Harvard hallways, I would laugh at you at disbelief. Sure, Raphael, granddaughter of a woman who was married at the age of 10, a woman who never went to school, and yet somehow a woman whose zeal to raise an educated granddaughter pushed her to learn her letters and read to me at a time I was too young to register multisyllabic words. Thank you, Didu. Your conviction brought me here today. And even though your memory is fading, I know that today you're subconsciously celebrating for me, celebrating for us. Journeys here have been shaped by the sacrifices and hard work of our friends, families, teachers, and mentors. Our parents, who prioritized education for us, even when resources were scarce. Our teachers, who worked relentlessly to ensure we knew of the opportunities available to us. Our siblings, who brought us outfit options because we were incapable of simultaneously studying for stats and getting ready for winter formal. And our partners, who were patient and kind as we studied for yet another exam because our Harvard dream had also become theirs. This degree is as much ours as it is yours. Thank you for your love and encouragement. I vividly remember August 2017. As I walked into L140 right here, I felt a sense of immense thrill and excitement. Yay, I finally made it to the coolest development cult in the world. I can't wait to learn more how to drive nations out of poverty. Hint, best to avoid kinky temptations, always. But I also remember feeling this overwhelming sense of doom and gloom. Land didn't make it any easier. You're entering a tunnel and might not see light for a while. It felt a bit like premature load bearing. Some of us, the Denmarks if you will, got into the flow immediately, while the others struggled, wondering if Carol had mistakenly sent us our acceptances, which, if you really knew Carol, you would not suspect, even for a single second. But it was you, my beloved classmates, who brought flashes of light into this darkness, who turned those moments of nagging doubts and vague confusions to moments of unwavering clarity. From whispered conversations in the classroom to loud disagreements in the cafeteria, 64 voices from all across the world passionately challenged each other's convictions and nurtured an environment of introspection and honest dialogue. There were moments when our religious beliefs, our diverse upbringing, our national identities, and our socioeconomic class made these conversations uncomfortable. But we supported each other through the difficult pleasure of finding our voices and updating our priors. As we helped each other through pangs of homesickness and frequent existential crises, we even developed our own language. So, what are the constraints you're really trying to maximize against? Tell me, MPP-IDs, who will speak to me this way outside the bubble? We danced to Despacito as we celebrated engagements, weddings, and births, and silently held hands and lent our shoulders to mourn breakups, deaths, and rejections. Thank you for the love, friends. There were several moments when falling apart was the easiest option, but the warmth of your hugs in the frigid Cambridge temperatures glued me back together. Soon, we will receive our Harvard degrees, which will certify, in Latin no less, that we know something. No matter what circumstances of disprivilege we came from, this degree will grant us the privilege to use our voice to make a dent in the world, to make the world a safer place for women, to prevent the 6th Argentinian crisis. But I hope we use this voice judiciously, friends, and we use our privilege to make room for voices of the silenced. MPP-ID class of 2019, I know great things are in store for us. But as we move forward, let's not become so complacent by our own smarts that we stop being curious, that we shut ourselves off to opinions that are different from ours. Let's take on this challenge of making development an inclusive process, of including the voices of those we would often discount, and of opening the circle of opportunities and rights wider. Let's make silence a precursor to finding our voice. Because only then can we move towards a world where opportunities are not determined by the privileges our places of birth brought us. Sharing this journey with you has been one of the greatest joys of my life, friends. Thank you for the tears, the laughters, and the memories of everything else in between. You will be dearly missed, but I know that this is not goodbye. So, until next time, friends, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great day to be at the Harvard Kennedy School. My name is Akwugo Ekene Nama.
And my name is Gagan Vasir, an MPP-2.
And we are the co-chairs of the Graduating Class Gift Committee. And I'm also a proud member of the MPA class of 2019. On behalf of the graduating class, Gagan and I would like to present the 2019 class gift. But first, I would like the members of the Graduating Class Gift Committee to stand wherever they're seated. Thank you for your service to the Kennedy School. You may be seated. Imagine a young girl or boy from China, Ecuador, or Nigeria who has dreamed of Harvard since he or she was little. Their determination so strong. Each of us has the power to make their dreams possible with just one gift. Thank you for stepping up to the challenge. Class of 2019, thank you for your support. Your gifts will provide this student with the same exceptional opportunities that we've all had here at Harvard. The class gift will support many initiatives that we hold dear, such as financial aid, quorum calls, diversity and inclusion initiatives, student publications, and much more. You see, for me, I gave because HKS has been an absolutely transformative experience. And today, I'm so excited and honored that my incredible family, all the way from London, Nigeria, and various parts of the United States, are here to share my joy with me. Harvard Kennedy class of 2019, you've paid it forward to our future generations of HKS students. I'm deeply thankful for your support. And congratulations on embodying the spirit of our great institution. Thank you.
So, over the past 7 months, the Class Gift Committee has asked, urged, and when necessary, pleaded with the graduating class of 2019 to make their mark on future HKS classes. And you all delivered. You told us the countless reasons you give. For some, it was because HKS gave you the tools needed to change the world. For others, it was the lifelong friendships you made here. No matter the reason, as a result of your kindness and service, the class gift reached new heights. This year, 316 students participated and supported the class gift. And because of you, class of 2019, we had a record-breaking class participation, raising $21,060. Dean Elmendorf, we are ecstatic to present you with a 2019 graduating class gift. Thank you to our fellow committee members for their tireless efforts in making this year's class gift a success. And to the class of 2019, we are grateful and humbled by your generosity and selflessness. Thank you for giving back and shaping the HKS community. Your gift is a clear signal of your current and future investments to HKS. Congratulations once again, and thank you.
Well, this is certainly the largest check that I've ever received in size, but also it's an expensive school to run, and we rely on the generosity of many people who believe in our mission. But this means a particular amount to me because it is an expression of your confidence in the ability of the Kennedy School, of the faculty, of the staff, of the students who will come, and of the alumni of the school to continue to make a better world. And we will use this support and any other support that you provide as alumni to the school to make sure that your successors as students have the opportunities and maybe even better, broader opportunities than you have had to make the difference that they can make in the world, to bring their passion and their skills to bear to solve the problems that we see in the world around us. So I'm very grateful for this this expression of your support. And we will put this money to very good use. Thank you all very much. And I'm here for another purpose as well. It's time to discuss the Dean's Award for Excellence in Student Teaching. This award is given to course assistants and teaching fellows who are nominated by the students they taught. And we offer these awards in recognition of the crucial role that student teachers play in the learning process at the Kennedy School. This is actually the 24th year of the Dean's Award for Excellence in Student Teaching. The nominations from many, many people show that outstanding course assistants and teaching fellows have strong knowledge of the subject material, have the ability to make difficult material accessible to people with a wide range of previous backgrounds, and are accessible to their students with a real commitment to the teaching and learning process. The teaching fellows and course assistants that we're honoring today are just a small subset of the many teaching fellows and course assistants who have brought this knowledge and this dedication to their role as student teachers. I want to begin by recognizing the work of the members of the Academic Affairs Committee who handled the nomination and selection process this year. Rebecca Trupin, Benjamin Funk, and Irfan Hermani, as well as Peter Cha. Please, let's thank all of them for their work in picking out these people. And Peter's been kind enough to join me for this process. There were more than 90 teaching fellows and course assistants nominated, and the committee chose the award winners from among those 90 nominees. And the comments that I will read are the comments from the students who wrote these nominations for their teaching fellows and course assistants. Each honoree will receive a certificate that says the Dean's Award for Excellence in Student Teaching in recognition of your extraordinary commitment to students and faculty, your accessibility, energy, and talent for making difficult subject matter transparent, contributed markedly to the Kennedy School community and to helping students learn. In addition to the certificate, there was a small monetary award of $150. We have 5 honorees today. If I call your name, please come on up here to the stage. Our first recipient is Jennifer Hegarty. Jennifer was a teaching fellow for API 205, Politics and Policies, What Can Data Tell Us? In the words of one nominator, quote, she was so knowledgeable that students felt she could teach the course herself. She demonstrated unparalleled patience and dedication to teaching students who struggled with quantitative methods throughout their careers. Jennifer put in long hours to make sure that students truly grasped the concepts through one-on-one meetings, group review sessions, and digital media. She consistently sought feedback to make sure her teaching methods were beneficial and had no problem adjusting them midway through the course to better serve the students. Jennifer, congratulations and thank you. Our next recipient is Thomas Moady. Thomas was a teaching fellow for API 120, Advanced Macroeconomics for the Open Economy 1, and a course assistant for API 119, Advanced Macroeconomics for the Open Economy 2. One nominator said, quote, he was really passionate about the class and would often provide additional case studies and problems for students to further their development. He was also a practitioner, able to share his personal experiences in the field using the models that the students learned in the classroom. Another student emphasized Thomas's availability, quote, he held anti-panic last-minute office hours before problem sets and macro marathons during exam week. Thank you so much, Thomas. Our third recipient is Dennis Sopp. He was a course assistant for MLD 500, Maximizing Human Capital and Organizational Performance, and MLD 501M, Conflict and Collaboration, Intra and Intergroup Dynamics. One nominator raved Dennis was highly responsive as a course assistant. His constant positive attitude and professionalism helped foster a great class atmosphere. He provided excellent feedback and made himself available outside of scheduled office hours to further elaborate on the professor's lectures. Thank you very much, Tom. Our next recipient today is Aaron St. Peter. Aaron was a teaching fellow for API 302, Analytic Frameworks for Policy, and a course assistant for BGP 264, Capital Markets Regulation. As one nominator put it, students felt that a majority would not have survived the course without the help of the student teachers. Aaron was the only MPP teaching fellow. The others were PhD candidates. But she demonstrated her knowledge was on par with others at the PhD level. Her dedication to and passion for the subject were clearly on display every week. She would consistently have nearly 20 students pack a tiny room for review sessions. Erin would make herself available even on weekends to help students make it through the difficult problem sets, which students state took an average of over 80 hours of work each. Unquote. Erin, thank you very much. And our final recipient today is Tiyuta Tarani. Tiyuta was course assistant for API 141, Finance, and API 202Z, Empirical Methods 2. One nominator said, quote, Tiyuta did a superb job of making complex concepts of finance easy to understand. She would often stay past her scheduled office hours and answer emails past 10 p.m. on days before problem sets were due. This position helped her realize how much she enjoys teaching and was a strong reason why she decided to apply for a PhD upon completion of her MPP. Tiyuta, thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for your truly outstanding work.
Hi, I'm Emma Heffern, Director of MPA Programs. The Don K. Price Award was established in honor of Don Price, Dean of the Kennedy School from 1958 to 1977, and one of the architects of the school in its modern incarnation. Don Price was a vice president of the Ford Foundation in 1958 when he was asked to take over as the dean and lead this institution to become the premier graduate school of public service. Price responded to this challenge by working to develop a full-time faculty, a new and more professionally oriented curriculum, and integration of the real world of politics, public policy, and management into the core of the school's mission. Today, we honor one MPA student with the Don K. Price Award. This year's award recognizes a member of the graduating MPA class who has made an incredibly positive contribution to the class and the community. A committee of faculty and staff reviewed the nominations by peers and selected Amanda Michelle Coleman as this year's Don K. Price Award winner. I'd like to share a few examples of the positive contributions she has made to the community during her time here. These comments are from the nominations that were submitted. Her classmates wrote that Amanda served as our unofficial and official class representative, as an organizer, career coach, social glue, and class marshal. She created a welcoming and inclusive environment and greets everyone by name and with a smile. She ensured that the class stayed together like a family. She organized retreats, game nights, book discussions, weekly lunches, faculty lectures, group runs, and she did all of this with grace, kindness, and superior organizational skills. Amanda, it has been such a pleasure to work with you and get to know you during your time here. You'll really be missed. Thank you for making a difference in this community, and we look forward to hearing of your successes in the years to come. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Kesley Hong, and I'm faculty chair of the MPA programs, and I teach negotiation. And a lesson to myself, next year I'm going to have to do a much better job negotiating to present early in the program, because listening to the inspiring and insightful words from all the student speeches has left me a little teary, so I'm kind of a mess by this point. But I'm going to dry up and start with some history. So the idea for a School of Public Affairs at Harvard was born on the eve of World War II, as the US government grappled with historic challenges, both domestic and international. Harvard alumnus and New York Congressman Lucius N. Littauer had a vision for a school for a new professional governing class, and he backed up his vision with a $2 million gift, which was then the largest single gift from an individual donor ever given to a university. Mr. Littauer made a contribution in his lifetime that still lives on today in this building that we're in now and through the mid-career MPA program. Today, we honor 7 mid-career MPA students as Lucius N. Littauer Fellows. These awards are given to members of the graduating mid-career class who both made a positive, significant contribution to the Kennedy School community and also demonstrated academic success. A committee of faculty and staff reviewed many nominations by their peers, as well as the academic and community contributions of graduating students, and selected the following 7 students as this year's award winners. I will call all the names and would ask all of you to please come forward, and then we'll share more about the reasons why you were nominated by your classmates. We'd like to welcome Victoria Ying Cha. Margareta Luminita Matake. Erin Elizabeth Rist. Jonathan Charles Haken-Sklarczyk. Tiffany Christine Thompson. Jakob Ulegard. And Georgina Ann Hernandez Yang. And I'd just like to share all right, mid-careers, I'd like to share a few words so that all of us understand why why the mid-careers are applauding so loudly. So these Lucius and Latara Fellows demonstrated academic excellence, they pursued rigorous coursework, and they stretched themselves, going outside of subject areas in which they were already experts and comfortable. But the spirit of this award is about going beyond academics. Everyone in this group worked hard to promote fellowship and to create connections both within their class, between classes and programs, and among the wider Kennedy School community. You'll see that this group acted as leaders, sometimes out in front and sometimes behind the scenes, and they worked relentlessly to create a sense of community for their cohort. I'd like to share a few comments about the winners that come from the nominations of their classmates. So some classmates lauded you for organizing and presenting at the weekly mid-career MPA seminars. Some served as elected class representatives in student government or admissions ambassadors or course assistants for Kennedy School courses. One was a class dad. We also had class marshals, and all of them brought positive, infectious energy and creativity to their roles. Some organized class trips and activities, panel discussions and conferences, cohort birthday parties, voter registration drives, holiday gatherings, networking lunches for women, volunteer service projects in the community, clothing drives. All of them showed consistent commitment and dedication to their cohort and to their community. They celebrated the accomplishments of others, and they challenged their classmates to use their voices for change. They contributed to the community, and they embodied the Kennedy School spirit of serving others. And a direct quote from one of the nominations is that they turned a bunch of strangers from around the world into a family. So it is my honor to present the recipients of the 2019 Lucius Latara Fellowship Awards. Thank you all for making a difference in this community, and we look forward to hearing about the contributions you're going to make in the lives of others in the years to come. Congratulations.
Hello again. I'm so proud and thrilled to introduce our mid-career class day speaker, Taimi Tembu. Yes, we all love her. Proudly African, Taimi is an unapologetic public servant activist. Born, bred and buttered in Namibia, she served in her capacity as chief of staff in two of the highest offices in the Namibian government, in both the legislative and the judicial branches. Prior to HKS, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous, and most recently, she was the first and youngest member working with the executive to realize the full establishment of the Office of the Judiciary in 2015. During this time, she forged partnerships and networks with governments and multinational organizations, both on the African continent and beyond, serving as the lead of international partnerships and outreach for the Namibian judiciary, including being one of the curators from conception to implementation of the Southern African Judicial Administrators Association. Closest to her heart, though, is the Special Olympics Organization, where she serves as a board member for Special Olympics Namibia, raising awareness and driving wellness and sport inclusion efforts for those who are differently abled. During her time at HKS, she served as a member of various student platforms, but closest to her heart was the African Caucus and her leadership as the only female chair, which led to the biggest African Development Conference to date. It is, without a doubt, that time is future and dedication will remain to serve Africa. What she believes is to be the best continent in the world, a continent that constantly reminds the world that young people are capable and women are the future. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Taimi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So as you can tell, the mid-careers are the loudest and the most obnoxious people at HKS. So a moment like this, I want to start from the beginning. My country, Namibia, gained her freedom from apartheid South Africa in 1990. My parents are products of the Bantu education system, a system that used race to define whites as human and blacks as subhuman, where African culture was suppressed as a weapon against young black minds. But in the new Namibia, my parents believed that education would be my greatest equalizer, convinced that the power to empower the next generation of young Namibians was in the education system. So like dreamers, they planted the seeds and enrolled me in the best school in the country. But change takes time. Because as a black child in a sea of so many white faces, my classmates used every opportunity to taunt me with racial slander, but in my silence, I endured. Because as a black child, nonviolence was training from home. But the day came when my training faded, my crescendo descended, and I dared to retaliate it, and with an open arm, regretfully struck another child. Summoned to the principal's office, I was escorted to the town police station. Devastated, I remember hearing the cling and the bang of iron to iron, and then the locking sound of a jail cell. The person on the inside was me, and I was only 8 years old. So my sentence lasted a chilling 20 minutes, but my most fondest, or my memory of that period, was not being introduced into the inside of a jail cell. It was the sight of my teachers and principals as they consoled my white classmate. As a child, I was confused, led to believe that it is not my generation's turn. But through misfortune, we learn wisdom. And as I stand here today, I'm reminded of the reason of why I'm here today. My why is advocated by my grandfather, missionary educated, the first in his village, but died of head wounds inflicted by white police officers. It is inspired by my parents, who survived the Bantu education system, a system that told them that math and science was too complicated for young black minds to understand. My why is Vinzel, my 13-year-old niece. With golden brown skin, she loves math, she's very assertive, but with an education that is devoid of her culture and her identity, she grows up believing that black is inferior. But my why is inspired by you, NCMPA class of 2019. Because I know that some of you arrived on these shores knowing that you have no nation home to return to. Some of you have seen and witnessed the insides of political prisons, And let us not forget those of you who walked through the cage doors and corridors to get to work every single day. You really reminded me that we are Generation Now, and it is our turn and our duty to rise. So, as I stand here, I want to say, I spent the last year, toiling and tossing in a patchwork of different colors and cultures. A group of people who are so courageous, not only in conviction and ideals, but in action. MCA-MPA class of 2019, you turned it up this year. Not just in the bars and clubs of Cambridge and Boston, but in these walls, at the African Union, at the AU, book signings all over the USA, speaking engagements all over the world. You are the experts. A great son of the African soil, Julius Nyerere, said, or believed, that education is a process in which a society, through certain formal and informal institutions, deliberately curates and shares its cultural, or passes its cultural heritage from one generation to the next. So as we stand here, let us be reminded that this Harvard education is not for us. A Harvard education comes with great responsibility and also great duty. Our responsibility to reinvent and rewrite the histories that were taught to us so that the next generation, Leo, Aiden, Stella, Alma, Miles, Saku, Rania, Lincoln, Alden, so that they have culturally flexible minds. Pay it forward, MCMPA class of 2019. Thank you.
Hello again, we're almost there. So my name is Angelo.
And I'm Priyanka. And we are so honored to present the next award, Advisor of the Year. Being an advisor is such an important part of the academic experience. Advisors have the ability to connect with students, to provide mentorship and guidance, and to inspire us when we need it the most. For a lot of us, personal relationships with mentors are the hallmark of our HKS experience. The Advisor of the Year award is given to an advisor, either formal or informal, to recognize their superior mentorship and positive impact on the student experience.
In their nominations, students shared that this professor was extremely generous with his time and that the mentoring relationships he built with students are integral to their HKS experience. One student noted that the time that I've been lucky enough to work with him has been incredibly meaningful. I wasn't particularly excited to write a PAE because it seemed daunting, but my advisor lent the process excitement, responsibility, and meaning. He imparted key lessons about organizational governance, which helped me view the city of Boston through a new, inspiring light. Any student would be lucky to have his guidance.
Another student said, Not only was he so organized and so accessible, but he also took the time to truly prepare and give detailed feedback throughout the PAE planning, researching, and writing process. His advising challenged me in the best sense. This research experience with him, more than any individual class, was what synthesized the value of the MPP skill set. Although neither of us was involved in the selection process, we both know the Advisor of the Year recipient personally. I've had the privilege of learning from this professor, who also happens to be one of my advisors. I always left their class and their office hours feeling invigorated, challenged, and reflective. They funneled my abstract thinking into useful frameworks, listened thoughtfully to my incoherent moral crises, and gave me invaluable career advice.
I also consider this professor as my mentor. As my second-year policy analysis advisor, he was very generous with his time as I explored the issue of Venezuelan migration to Bogota, Colombia, and ventured into a domain that I had no professional background in. He was a patient mentor who gave me a new perspective on my education at HKS. That is, to always examine and reflect about values in public policy, to think global but to act local, and to always adopt multidisciplinarity. To me, he is a testament that there are many ways to learn at HKS, and it is a safe, nurturing community to take risks and understand public service better. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor to present the Advisor of the Year Award to Professor Quinton Main. Congratulations, Professor May. Moving on, we are honored to present the next award, which is the annual Carballo Teaching Award. This award is given to a faculty member who has demonstrated an exceptional commitment to students and their learning experience, and also demonstrates excellence in teaching.
HKS faculty are thought leaders and experts and have the responsibility to mentor the next generation of public policy leaders. The Carballo Award is the most prestigious teaching award since 1984.
We solicited nominations from students of HKS for professors who have intellectually challenged them and enriched their formation here in Harvard. From the submissions, the class marshals collectively deliberated and decided to present this award to a professor who happens to be very special to me and Amanda.
In reference to a course taught by this professor, one student noted, quote, "Of any class I've ever done at any point in my education, this one has most changed my life. I know that's true for classmates who took the class as well. The underlying thesis of the class is that progress towards equality for the LGBTQ community and all minorities is never guaranteed. Regression backwards is always possible. Knowing the history of these minorities and the history of progress followed by regression is a first step to understanding how fragile progress itself is." Another student stated, quote, "This was the first time I have ever seen myself in the curriculum regarding queer history, my history. And I can say, from the bottom of my heart, our awardee is unstoppable. I've seen him hold office hours at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Yes, 9 p.m. He answers phone calls from former students at all hours of the night, and everyone has his phone number. He brings his authentic self to the classroom, demonstrating that power and prestige are nothing without humility, vulnerability, and honesty. He is one of the few HKS professors willing to talk about power and how to subvert the status quo when the status quo perpetuates hatred, racism, and homophobia. He is unafraid to be himself, showing us, his students, that we need to be unafraid too. From teaching arts of communications to over 100 HKS students per year, to launching the first class about queer history, politics, and protest, our awardee is innovative, assertive, and compassionate. He embodies what it means to be a policy leader, a friend, and a confidant, attributes we should all aspire for.
Our awardee is my academic advisor. I still remember his speech during the HKS Orientation Week, where he inspired us that public service is always personal. It means showing up, sticking around, and loving your constituents genuinely, may it be your country or just a single individual. He did not hesitate at all when we asked him to be the faculty advisor for the first ever Harvard student trip to the Deep South, focused on LGBTQ rights, and from then on engaged us to learn from history, resist injustice, work together for policy change, and be a beacon of hope for the future. My HKS experience would definitely be incomplete without him as my professor, a mentor, and a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to present the annual Carballo Teaching Award to Professor Timothy Patrick McCarthy.
Good afternoon. We're almost done, I promise. I'm Debbie Isaacson. I'm the Senior Associate Dean for Degree Programs and Student Affairs here at the Kennedy School, and it is really terrific to see all of the friends and family and guests of all our amazing students here today. It's my honor to present the Robert F. Kennedy Award for Excellence in Public Service, which is presented to a graduating Kennedy School student whose commitment, activities, and contributions to public service are extraordinary. This award, the recipients of this award were nominated by their peers and then selected by a group of faculty and staff members. And it might, at this point, go without saying, given all of the amazing students you've heard about and heard from this afternoon, that this was a really, really difficult choice. So we were able to narrow it down almost to one. We got to two. So today I'll be presenting two different RFK awards. The first goes to a student in our mid-career Master's in Public Administration program, Allison Dorsey. Drawing inspiration from the power of service to improve communities and to have an impact on volunteers themselves, Allison has a long history of creating opportunities for individuals to serve. In her own words, part of Allison's purpose is, quote, igniting a passion for public service in others, end quote, and she has an impressive track record of so doing. In college, she co-founded Durham Community Consulting, a program that trains undergraduates to provide nonprofit organizations with planning, program evaluation, and other support services. In 2013, she expanded on those early efforts by joining LinkedIn to create the Volunteer Marketplace. The marketplace helps nonprofits find the right volunteers for their goals and enables millions of LinkedIn members to explore skilled volunteer opportunities. Her work continued even while she was here at the Kennedy School this year. This January, HKS students and new governors across the country were the beneficiaries of her passion for connecting people to service. Allison co-founded Transition Term at HKS, an initiative to place entrepreneurial HKS students on U.S. gubernatorial transition teams following the 2018 elections. This enormously popular, and by enormously I mean like 113 applicants for like 20 spots, 15 spots, enabled participating students to complete a wide range of projects while on the ground in multiple states, writing policy memos, staffing the executive offices of state agencies, and performing research that will aid in future legislation. Her efforts fostered countless important relationships between the students themselves and with state-level political offices around the country. Allison, today we thank and recognize you for your important contributions to public service in every community you've joined, most importantly, ours. Please join me in congratulating Allison. It's up to you. The second recipient of the Robert F. Kennedy Award is MPP student Amanda Matos. I'm going to let her collect her thoughts while I embarrass her just a little bit. A proud product of the Bronx, it was Amanda's personal experiences that sparked her passion for public service. I feel like you've already heard a lot of this from her directly, so this is almost redundant, but so exciting. Amanda believes that it is her duty to support communities that are underserved by government, political, and educational institutions. She is co-founder of the Womanhood Project, a Bronx-based after-school mentorship program for high school girls of color to learn about feminism, media literacy, and political activism. The Womanhood Project pairs mentees with college-aged mentors who facilitate professional workshops and build a lifelong sisterhood with their young proteges. The program empowers young women with critical analysis, public speaking, and community organizing skills to effectively combat the daily and systemic injustices they face. She's also a volunteer member of the advisory board for the Women's Building in New York City. The building, which was formerly a women's prison, will open as a community hub for women-owned businesses, nonprofits, and community organizing. All of this before she got here. So Amanda arrived at HKS ready to serve and further build a diverse community where everyone is able to thrive. As co-chair of the Latinx Caucus, co-editor-in-chief of the Journal of Hispanic Policy, Amanda shined a light on issues facing the Latinx community in the United States. I'm not done. By participating in MPP webinars, volunteering at New Admit Day, organizing a panel at this year's conference on poverty and inequality, and collaborating with other student groups on campus to speak with prospective students of color, Amanda is an incredible supporter and partner in the diversity efforts here at HKS. She's also a CA and did a whole bunch of other things. I could stand here for the next 45 minutes and talk about all of the ways in which she's contributed to our community and for which we're so grateful. As one nominator said themselves, quote, Amanda is a role model for peers and an impactful leader, speaker, and person committed to accountable organizing and community mobilization. She has left an incredible impact on our school and on our students. I couldn't have said it better myself. Amanda, today we recognize your remarkable service to our community, and thank you. Please join me in congratulating Amanda. Amanda.
Good afternoon. I'm Jonathan Sklarczyk. I am one of the class marshals for the mid-career class and apparently class dad. To close us up, I'd like to call all the class marshals up onto the stage. The class marshals represent all the classes here at the Kennedy School. On behalf of all of us, we'd like to say a few thank yous to the people who made this event possible. A big thank you to the Harvard University Dining Services and its very dedicated staff. Thank you to the HKS Media Services who have helped bring this event possible, live stream it, get us the tech we need. And a big thank you to the HKS facilities staff who do so much work of set up and take down and make sure this place looks immaculate. So a big thank you. And on behalf of the marshals and all of our classmates, I want to thank our families and friends and supporters who, for being here and for seeing us through this entire program and process. So a big thank you to all of you. Finally, a tremendous thank you to Melissa Wojciechowski and Jane Finn-Foley from Student Services Office, who are behind everything we experienced during commencement. They are putting all of this together and running all the shows and all the days, so a huge thank you to them. Before we adjourn, I just want to tell everybody to please join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. right outside in JFK Park for the commencement address, the HKS commencement address, which will be delivered by former Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos. That's going to be an amazing address right here, 2 o'clock in the JFK Park. And he is a mid-career class from 1981, so mid-careers, we definitely got to show the support. There will also be class receptions tomorrow for each of the classes, so please don't miss those. And that information has been sent out to email, via email. So there's a lot going on before Thursday. So finally, thank you everybody for being here. Congratulations to all the graduates. Let's go out and do it.